Hello everyone, this is Dowster and welcome back to another episode review of Dark Side of the Ring, episode 10. This is the final episode for season 4 and I plan to do more episode reviews of the first 3 seasons next week. I will probably be doing other Vice shows such as Dark Side of the 90s and 2000s since I really like Vice's documentaries and find them interesting but really sad at the same time. Thank you guys for watching the episode reviews, and in case you did not know, you can go in my video library and find both Brian Pillman episode reviews in my channel from a long time ago. Today's episode focuses on Marty Jannetty, who was famously known for being Shawn Michaels' tag team partner for the Rockers. He was also tag team partners with the 1-2-3 Kid, who a lot of you guys know him as X-Pac from DX or Sean Waltman. As of today, Marty does not seem to be doing so great, as he said that he killed someone and got away with it, but police have looked into it and found nothing. I also saw that after the episode came out, he denied what he said in it. I'll go over this episode and share my thoughts at the end. Marty Jannetty was born Frederick Martin Jannetty on February 3rd, 1960. He was born in Columbus, Georgia, and was a wild child in his high school days. At school, Marty took sports very seriously, but was an outcast among his peers at school and the neighborhood. His family had issues as they were poor and had constant police encounters. Marty has a lot of bad childhood stories, as his mom was abusive and his father worked a lot in order to provide for the family. When he was 7 years old, parents did not allow their kids to play or be around Marty, as he stated in an article with Ringside News on May of 2023. One day at school, Marty caused an explosion when he mixed the blue and orange chemicals together, even though the teacher instructed him not to do it. The impact of the explosion caused him and a classmate to jump out of their chairs and caused the window to break down. However, one of Marty's friends named Karen says in this episode that you can't always believe what Marty says. This is very true, as you guys will find out at the end of this episode. Jannetty was an amateur wrestler in the state of Georgia and qualified for the state championship tournaments in his last 3 years of high school. He also did boxing and won the Golden Glove events. One of his friends named Leland is also interviewed for this episode, said that he and Marty played football in high school and called Marty a fantastic athlete. He went to Auburn University but dropped after the university got rid of the wrestling program. Marty trained with Jerry Oates and made his wrestling debut in 1983 at Mid-South Wrestling. It was there that Marty met Shawn Michaels and would later become tag team partners. They were famously known as the Midnight Rockers at Mid-South during the 1980s, and girls were very into them. Marty said that tag team wrestling with Shawn was like magic, as the two seemed to be in sync during their matches. They eventually got offered to wrestle in WWF as their name changed to the Rockers, and they celebrated at the bar, where the celebration took a turn for chaos. While they were at the bar celebrating, another wrestler named Jimmy Jack Funk eats a glass and joins them. Shawn then hits his head with the glass and chaos erupted as Marty and Shawn tore the bar down as if they were in a wrestling ring, and they eventually got kicked out of the bar. Marty and Shawn got fired from WWF after 1 week for misbehavior, but were rehired again once they got more attraction in the continental wrestling scene. Wrestler Pat Tanaka says that in one of Marty's parties, Pat went to sleep, but Marty woke Pat up with a gun as he made random shots throughout the house. Marty ended up getting mad at Pat for this, even though it was Marty's doing. It was a party for Marty and Shawn every day, as they had many women lined up to their hotel rooms and did the On December 11, 1990, Chuck Austin, who was a wrestler back then, got his neck broken during a match with Shawn and Marty. Chuck could not move his legs as Marty hit him with one of his moves called the Rocker Dropper. He was pronounced paralyzed and sued Marty for $10 million. When the case was going on in court, Dean Malenko came in the courtroom and demonstrated the Rocker Dropper move on a mat to the courthouse. The court decision was made as it only took 20 minutes for the verdict to come in, and Chuck was owed $24 million instead of the $10 million. Marty and his lawyers were able to get a settlement of $10 million, but the money was going to come from Marty's royalties. Shawn, however, got out of the case since he did not hurt Chuck. Karen says in this episode that she does not like Sean and calls him egoistical. After the court case, Sean was aggravated when Marty overdid things while wrestling. Marty did a lot of drugs during his time with WWF, such as cocaine, crack, somas, and tranquilizers. One time, Marty took a tranquilizer and Karen called Sean on what to do while Marty was unconscious. Sean told her on the phone not to call the police. He and Jimmy Snuka came over and put Marty in a shower. Days later, Marty and Sean butted heads, which led them to a big argument one day at a hotel. Sean pushed Marty out of the hotel window and landed on the bushes. He survived since the hotel was not so tall, but was drunk and cussed at Sean, which is why Sean pushed him. He crawled from the window and choked Sean as he was turning purple. The incident caused Sean to miss a few days of wrestling. They eventually go to Vince, and Vince tells them that he wants to split them up. Marty told Vince that he was going to talk to Sean first before making the decision, but Sean right away told them that he was okay with the team splitting up. Vince saw a lot of stardom and potential in Sean than he did with Marty. While being interviewed, wrestlers Mike and Brutus Beefcake say that Sean was right up in Vince's ass and kissing. That's a figurative speech, by the way, which is slang for overly agreeable or too nice to get what they want. For the storyline of the team breakup, the writers had Sean get frustrated with Marty. During a barbershop segment hosted by Beefcake, the audience wanted Sean and Marty to make up instead of breaking up. Sean had his back on Marty, but turned around to shake Marty's hand, as the audience was cheering. However, Sean does a 180 and super kicks Marty so hard that Marty did not feel the glass when Sean threw him in the barber window. It was not a part of the storyline as it was real life. A lot of people were not happy about it, but it benefited Sean as a top star and overshadowed Marty. Marty resented Sean afterwards, while Sean kept his distance from Marty. Later on, Marty gets arrested for cocaine and was in house arrest for 6 months. Marty said in an interview that he was kicked out of countries for his behavior, which some of the interviewers said might not all be true. One incident, Marty borrows a cop's motorcycle in India and manages to drive upstairs from the hotel room. He ends up hitting a group of men as a man got pushed to a fountain. Through the years, Marty has been fired from wrestling multiple times, one of them being WCW, World Championship Wrestling. Before being fired from WCW, Marty got in trouble with the law as his contract would expire after many days in jail. Marty would get posters of Sean and throw darts at them. In the 1990s, Marty goes to the Indies yet struggles with substance abuse, jail, and DUI. He tried to renew the Rockers with Al Snow, who was known as Leif, and worked with Mean Mike Moran at one point as a tag team. Marty tried to take his life by taking a big pile of cocaine one day, but gets an unexpected call from Sean. Sean calls Marty to invite him to a program called AIM, Athletes International Ministry, in Arizona, where Marty was baptized by Sean. After being baptized, Marty said that he felt purified. Then, out of the blue, he gets a call from WWE for a Rocker reunion. Marty was scared that no one would remember him, but they did once the Rockers' music hit. It was a successful return as Marty was handed a new contract, but sadly went to jail a week later. He got arrested for fighting with a woman, as Mike said in the episode that this was Marty's last shot. Vince McMahon told one of the wrestlers in this episode, from a long time ago, that Marty has a black cloud following him. After getting fired from WWE, Marty has been dealing with his leg and ankle injuries. Marty is bound in a wheelchair as his legs take a long time to heal. His ankle has been in pain for several years and has gotten worse. George, Leyland's brother and orthopedic surgeon, says that Marty's pain is 12 out of 10 on a good day. Marty has had joint replacement on the right ankle, reconstruction on the left ankle, and has both shoulders torn. Beefcake and his wife Missy said that Marty copes with the pain of his ankle by going on Facebook. This is where the trouble begins for Marty. Trigger warning, as some of these posts are very disturbing and most likely not true. In one of his posts, Marty said that he has 13 black daughters and that former President Obama was black when it was cool to be black. Secondly, he gets it wrong when he said that the Aflac duck says half black, But in reality, as seen on the commercials, he actually says the company's name, Aflac. He puts at the end of this post, "Idiot America, you get what you deserve." In another post, he talks about a girl named Bianca that supposedly does not love Marty because he stopped taking cocaine but will do better. The other post, Marty writes that he wants to have sex with a 20-year-old and it gets worse from there. The fourth one so far, he gets offered $150,000 to do 3 nasty P-word movies and mentions how Snoop had something to do with it. There was another where he wanted to have sex with his own daughter, but Marty backs it up by saying that his account was hacked. And the post that to this day is very questioning is the one where he claimed that he killed a man by self-defense and allegedly got away with it. It allegedly happened when Marty was 13 and was buying weed from someone. The person then grabbed Marty and dragged him back to the bowling alley. He said in this episode that it was the front desk attendant and that the employee touched Marty's crotch area. As he was dragged back to the alley, Marty gets a rock and hits the employee very hard that the guy died in the scene. Marty called a family member and the member told Marty not to call the police. They then dumped the corpse into the river, but Marty said it was for a wrestling storyline in order for him to make a comeback. Marty was trending on Twitter at the time. He posted this post for making a man disappear. In this episode, we see Marty go to the alley where the murder allegedly happened and explains the make-believe story, supposedly. Police did an investigation, but Marty was surprised that the police focused on Marty rather than the alleged R-word person. The Columbus Police Department released a statement that they did not find any evidence in Marty's allegations and eventually dropped it. As of today, Marty is surrounded by a lot of people who love him. Yet they talk about how lonely he is somewhere in this episode. I think maybe Al Snow mentioned it. He can't keep his hands off Brutus Beefcake's wife, though, as she stated in this episode. Marty still loves Sean after all they went through, and were always together back then when they were a tag team. He got lightheaded while being interviewed for this episode at one moment due to his ankle injury, so Marty's been dealing a lot of pain over the years. We see Marty go to church and has this thing called GAT, God's amusement toy, which for him means that God messes with Marty. His friends in this episode mentioned how Marty does not like to take accountability on himself, but blames others, mostly God. Interviewers for this episode are Marty Jannetty himself, Al Snow, Leyland McCluskey, orthopedic surgeon and high school friend, George McCluskey, also orthopedic surgeon, Karen Walker, Marty's friend of 40 years, Mean Mike Moran, Pat Tanaka, Brutus Beefcake, and Missy Beefcake, Beefcake's wife and manager. Before I get to my thoughts, I wanted to talk about the article I found on Google regarding Marty defending his actions for his episode on Dark Side of the Ring. He released 2 statements on Facebook stating this, but I'm gonna do it in YouTube's rules, by the way. I want y'all to know I loves y'all. A lot of my friends are always saying to me, why you so in love with your fans? They already bought a ticket, but to me, you're not fans. You're my people. So I'm asking you, my people, what did you think about the show, Dark Side of the Ring? I've got 3 TV reality show offers and 1 movie already, but in order for it to be a reality, need to know what you, my extended family, thought, the good and the bad. Loves ya. And another quote, okay, I just need to understand how the bleep can you call me a murderer if I was 13 and the dude was trying to R-word me, and even then it wasn't intentional. It's called getting this ninja off of me. I think that Marty should talk to a therapist about what he feels. Marty has been through a lot, and the only person that has ruined Marty is himself and his rough childhood. I feel really sorry for him as he seems to be in a lot of pain and has gotten into trouble through the years. He seems lonely even though the people interviewed for this episode seem to have his back, or so it seems. True that what he did to Chuck Austin was beyond unforgivable, but Marty still suffers by ruining his image on these controversial Facebook posts. I think seeing an enemy suffer with the pain Marty has been in is probably worse than jail. As of today, Chuck was in an NBC News broadcast in Orlando, Florida about pharmacists who were refusing to fill pain medication prescriptions regardless of their doctor's prescription. Chuck was also able to move with the help of his canes in the 1990s, as seen on a broadcast of American Journal. In 2015, another broadcast shows that he is in a motorized wheelchair and complains about being in significant pain. Either way, Marty is still paying the price, and he's been self-sabotaging himself for many years. Another thing about tag teams is that once they break up, one gets over and the other struggles to keep up or does not ever go on top, which is kind of sad, honestly. I remember some of his friends in the episode mentioned how even though he has a lot of pain, Marty still has a cheery, enthusiastic personality. I also would like to know more about Sean's bad behavior back in the day, because he sure has a lot of people that talking about how bad he was, such as Marty, Sonny, and Marty's friend Karen. And I think there's a lot more in the list. I feel bad for Marty and wish him the best. I would still want him to see a therapist, though, and get some x-rays done for his brain. His thought process is similar to a lot of elderly people who I used to volunteer for a hospice place a couple years ago. It could be possible that he might have Alzheimer's disease or Parkinson's or something else, since he wrestled and might have undiagnosed concussions. I don't know, since I'm not an actual doctor. I give this episode an 8 out of 10 since it was a lot to show, and those nasty posts he put on Facebook were just not good. I wish him well, and Chuck Austin too, even though he was only talked about for a little bit. I also think that Marty's mom is to blame for his struggles too. When a parent or parents are absent in their child's life, it always impacts the child in some way. For some kids a little bit, and some not so great. Remember, always get involved with your kids' lives, even if you separate from the parent of your child. I wish Marty and the others the best and that things get better for him. Thank you guys for watching this episode review with me, and I'll see you in the next episode. In season 1, probably. Also, sources will be put in the description box down below, because I did have to use sources in order to get more of Marty's biography. But thank you guys for your time, and thank you for always supporting my channel. And I hope to see you guys again. Comment, like, or subscribe, whatever you want to do. Bye guys.